All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Dee Corchin. It is Monday night. It is November 8th, and we are here for our weekly team time. As we've shared before, but you might be new to our call, we've had lots of new coaches join our team. We come together on Monday nights for this call and the community call, the client call afterwards to learn, to grow. But this one in particular is very special. It's for our entire organization of coaches. And we've got something really fun planned for tonight. We got so much great feedback from the last panel we did with our leaders that we're doing another one on a really important topic. But before we do that, I had mentioned that we had several leadership rank ups that we are recognizing in our opening inspiration for the entire month of November. And tonight, I am excited and honored to introduce you to Gina Manley, who reached the rank of fully integrated business coach. So what that means, if you don't understand that, is that not only is she an executive director herself with $6,000 in volume, she also has at least 5 coaches on her team that are helping 5 or more people. So she is building in depth, making a great impact. And I know, Gina, this is something you have strived for and worked for quite some time. So we would love to hear your story.
Well, thanks, Dee. So not quite 2 months into my own weight loss, I bought my coach kit. I mean, I had struggled my whole life with my health for decades, and I knew I wasn't alone. But I was so scared to make that first post. I'm a Facebook stalker, always have been, but I'm not much of a poster on anything. But seriously, I'm going to post about this. You know, what are people going to think? What if they roll their eyes and think I'm trying to sell them something? But I knew that the fastest way for me to reach people was going to be on social media. So I had to get over that fear pretty quickly. I mean, why would I hold it back when someone might need my help? And ultimately, I came to believe that I didn't care what people thought. They could keep scrolling. So I started posting regularly, and my life as a coach began. I was still working full time, but fit this in when I could, and it started building. And when my job was eliminated, the whole company broke up. I had a decision to go work for someone else or build this into something bigger. So I chose to build this into something bigger. Getting to ED happened pretty quickly for me. It was pretty exciting. I love coaching people. The next goal was PIVIC. And that was daunting. To get there, I had to start offering coaching, and I was so nervous and hesitant. And if I was thinking this way, I know it was coming out in my energy and my tone. I mean, I knew how great this was, but why was I hesitant? So, you know, you got to set goals, right? We all have to do our math, and goal setting is not my jam ever. I had the mentality that if I didn't hit the goal, I was a failure. And that comes from years of a corporate environment where that was the message. My first few coaches never had a client, so it had to be my fault, right? I didn't launch them well. So now I started telling stories in my head that I wasn't good enough or I wasn't capable enough. It was taking me so long that I'm not meant to coach coaches, and I'm not meant to coach teams. I was ED, guys, for 2 years and 10 months, working towards that same goal. That is a long time. And at times I truly almost quit because I was so focused on the fact, here I get emotional, that I wasn't reaching the goal, that I totally forgot about all these people whose lives had changed because I said yes to coaching. So that's where the personal development comes in, and I have engaged in a whole lot of it. But I've learned more about myself and my habits of thinking and the stories that I've told myself for a long time than I did in the prior 34 years of professional life. And I've learned that goals are a target. You got to take millimeter steps to reach them. You're not going to have 5 senior coaches the first right off the bat, but I had to get there. And I realized that if you come up short, you can't forget how far you've come. You just have to course correct and keep going. So now the goal doesn't change, right? Although I guess the goal does change once you get to Fibic, what's next? So thank you, Dee, for letting me share.
Thank you, Gina. I hope you see the applause and the comments in the chat. I mean, blink at me if you've ever been frustrated because you haven't reached a goal on your own, on the timeline you set, right? And the success in our business, one, we have limiting beliefs, right? So we've got to work through that, work with a coach, work with a mentor to work through that, and also keep going. The name of the game is consistency and being persistent, right? But working on yourself in the process. So well done, Gina. It's really been fun to see you blossom and grow in this level. And what you just said was remembering the people. You know, we get so caught up in ourselves, we forget who needs our help. So thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hand the wheel to Shauna Davis, who's going to facilitate the rest of our call for us. So take it away, Global Director Shauna Davis.
Gina, it's so hard to follow that. Thank you for sharing. That was amazing. I'm so excited to ask questions of this amazing panel of coaches tonight. I hope you guys have your pen and your paper ready because you're going to probably get some really great stuff from these ladies. Our topic tonight is on self-care. And it's something probably a lot of us avoid because we feel like we have too much, going on in our lives or we're too busy. But self-care can look like a lot of different things. It's not just sitting in the bathtub with candles, which is great, but you can do a lot of other little things too. But most importantly, what self-care is filling your own cup so that you can readily fill others. We deal with people every day, and we need to be able to hold space for them and do the things for them that they need. And if we're so caught up and worn out and exhausted because we haven't taken the time to take care of ourselves, we'll fail in that area. So remember, taking care of yourself and doing self-care is paramount for your success as a coach. It fills you up and helps you to readily serve others like we do every day. So tonight, I'm super honored with this panel of ladies that we have. And I want to ask the first question of Lauren. So Lauren, listen, she's been on this trip to a wedding and she flew in probably just by the skin of her teeth and got here tonight. So yay, Lauren. Lauren, the first question I want to ask you is, what does preventative self-care look like for you personally? And who do you lean into when your cup is empty?
Thanks, Shauna. So I just got in like 10 minutes ago, so I'm just glad I'm home. So preventative for me, my morning time is crucial, my morning routine. So I have devotional time every morning with my coffee in the same chair, try to do that before the girls wake up as much as possible. And I also read my Habits of Health book or my life book for a few minutes every morning and revisit my why. And that's crucial for me. And then movement. I love most mornings. I try to go to yoga before the girls wake up as well. And usually it's 6 a.m. or 8:30 on the weekends. They're up by then, but having movement really makes a difference for me, and walking outside makes a big difference. And a lot of times I do that while I'm doing client calls. I just put my AirPods in and walk outside. And then having fun, like scheduling dates with my husband, scheduling fun times with friends. I try to schedule something fun once a week. And then I schedule one self-care date with myself once a week. And I put that in my calendar. And normally I actually do that on a quote unquote work day. So that it kind of breaks up the workday. And that could be going to get a massage, could be getting nails done. It could be a date to the gym. It could be a bath at night with a facial mask and a bath bomb. And then when who do I lean on when my cup is empty? Honestly, my relationship with God and my therapist.
Love that. And I love the self-care date. I had never thought of it that way. That's a really good idea. Okay, Lisa Bloom, you are next. Let me know if you need me to repeat the question.
Thanks, Shauna. Would you repeat the question?
Sure.
I got lost in Lauren's answer. I'm like, that's good stuff.
What does preventative self-care look like for you? And who do you lean on when your cup is empty?
Yeah, preventative self-care to me looks like a daily workout. Because for me, I know that reduces the tendency for my brain to go overly active and the self-doubts to creep in. It also looks like a solid night of sleep. And so putting myself to bed is critical. Sleep is my linchpin to all the other stuff. And then the other things that I sort of intersperse in there, daily reading and meditation, and, a manicure here. I went to my chiropractor today. So all the things that make me feel good physically and emotionally. Right. Whatever that is for any of us. And who do I lean into? Well, I call my coach. I have many coaches. Thank you, Dee. I call my coach. And I definitely reach out to people because I don't want to get lost in my head. So I'll call somebody and say, hey, can you just let me vent, or can you validate what I'm thinking? Or can I share with you something? And sometimes just getting it off my chest, even if the person's just sitting there listening, sometimes just bringing the thoughts out of my head through my mouth into the air reduces the tension. It kind of takes the lid off the pressure cooker, and it helps me process it differently or approach it with a different perspective.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Did y'all hear that about the sleep, a good night's sleep? I love that you added that in there, self-care. Lori, you're next. What does preventative self-care look like for you, and who do you lean into when your cup is empty?
Yeah, so very similarly, one of the things I did when I started coaching from home full time is I created structure. So each day I kind of have a plan for how I think it's going to go, and I create some what I call brain breaks in the middle of my day. I almost always exercise. I take walks. Sometimes I read books that are just fun, that are not business building, or that are just fun books to read. For me, though, self-care is non-negotiable. It's one of the things where I build my day around just a little bit of playtime for me. And I found that helps me stay out of my head and helps me have fun.
I love that, non-negotiable. Y'all remember that. That's great. Meg, you're next. What does self-care look like for you, and who do you lean into when your cup is empty?
Thanks for asking. I would say number one is to have boundaries, which is something I learn about every day. It is not a strength of mine, but it's something I'm going to claim as a strength that I'm going to lean into, because I think that's so important for preventative self-care. And I think scheduling is also really important. I'm learning there are an unlimited number of people that need what we have. There is always someone I could be calling or following up with, or a coach I can check up on. There's always something to do. So if I don't operate within the hours that I want to work, I could work myself too much, right? So preventative self-care looks like having those boundaries of saying, I'm not going to accept a client call before 9:30 in the morning because I'm not going to be at my best and I want to be a fully present mom. And I'm also not going to work certain evenings during the week. So that's been crucial. I'll say also saying no to the right things. One of the questions I try to ask myself, and I got this from Megan Darling, actually, the British rowing team had this thing where they would ask themselves, is this going to make my boat row faster? So for a year, they would ask themselves every day, every decision, is this going to make my boat row faster? We all have goals. And so I'm learning to use that question. Is saying yes to the PTA going to make my boat row faster? My business, is it going to help me meet my business goals? And if not, I'm going to have to say no. For this season, it's going to be a no. So that's been huge. And I think that's a great preventative self-care. And who I lean on my coach, and I lean on her, especially when I don't want to talk to her, which has nothing to do with her and it has everything to do with me. But I think that is a preventative self-care. Like, you don't have a weekly time on the calendar with your coach, I double dog dare you to do it and see what happens when you don't want to talk to them. And that's the best self-care, I think, because we hold space for so many clients and coaches. Let somebody hold space for you, because you deserve that.
Love that. Thank you, Meg. And I hope y'all caught the boundaries. It's something I think a lot of us don't set in place enough for ourselves. Dee, we're going to wrap that question up with you. What does preventative self-care look like for you, and who do you lean into?
I I wormed my way into this panel, you guys, because this is so important for me. Just put a 1 in the chat. Like if you've ever had the mindset or you think if I want to earn more or get to my goals, I have to work harder. I have to push, 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 push. See, and so that was me. And I paid a high price for that, a high price for that. So self-care is very important. And something I learned along the way that might help you is the concept of like 4 pillars. Like that there are 4 things that we could do that most of us have, that if we do them and we do them consistently, that we will stay more balanced than if not. And honestly, when I go off balance, it's usually because one fell out. So for me, mine's similar to what you've heard. So it's not anything rocket science, but mine is morning self-care. I mean, morning routine. So I, have my coffee alone, do my spiritual reading, my personal development reading. You also need quiet space for creativity. And that's where I get most of my post ideas, is in my quiet time. When I'm in the busy, I can't do it. I don't think. Exercise. My nutrition is big, guys. When I get derailed on my nutrition, I start derailing as a human. So that's real important. And then for me, I need some scheduled vacation time. I need things to look forward to on the calendar. Like I just found that was real important to me. Or like some of these guys said, just, scheduling time away or a day away or something, or a manicure. And then who do I lean into? I usually lean into either a really good friend that I can vent with or my coach.
Love that. And the running theme, I think, here is a coach. We have a coach for a reason, y'all. We lean into our coaches. I love that. All right, this next question is a big one. It's a 2-part question. We'll go back to Lauren first. So we all know that we can get off kilter at times. How do you recognize when things are out of balance for you, when you're emotionally fatigued, when the middle noise takes over, or when you're just frustrated with your business? When this happens, what does that feel like for you? And what are the signals that tell you that things are not going well? And then what do you do about it?
Yeah. So I think it's when I feel drained, like when I feel emotionally drained, I feel spiritually drained, I feel physically drained. And it can come out in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it can come out from me yelling at my children or at my husband, from me feeling frustrated with my clients, my coaches, feeling like, why, just where my energy is just not in a good place, where I feel like I'm focusing more on the things that are going wrong than the things that are going right. And what do I do about it? I think taking breaks, like I know that's something that I've had to, I am not good at, like literally I would schedule from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on my quote unquote work days without a break, like every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, no breaks whatsoever. And I got to the point where like I would be checked out by the end of that, and so realizing like I need to schedule breaks. That's when I started scheduling my self-care time in the middle of my days on those quote unquote work days. But scheduling myself, like something Dee talked to me about, was when I look at my day and I start seeing it's like getting really filled up, just go ahead and put something in there, like put chalk play date with the girls, or going to get a manicure, whatever, like put something in there so that you have those little things to look forward to throughout your day as well. And those times to just breathe and be present. And also talking it out with my mentors, figuring out with them, like, okay, what could I be doing differently? What can I do to shift? Taking time for the things that bring me joy, and then reevaluating my schedule. I've had to do this so many times, and that's the beauty, right, of having flexibility, is that we can do that. So one of the new things that I've done is I only try to work on Tuesday and Thursday nights other than this call on Monday nights. And if I want to watch a recording on some of the other Monday night calls, I will. But that helps me, that helps my husband, that helps my relationships. It's just, I need that. I can't be working every weekday night, which is what I was doing for a while. And then for me, another thing that I do every single day is writing down every morning what were the best moments from yesterday. What are the 3 things that I'm most grateful for? And what can I do today to make this a great day? And that helps keep me intentional and mindful. And also, lastly, is remembering my why. Why am I on my health journey? Why am I coaching? why am I showing up as a mom? All of those things, just remembering why. And that helps me to keep my focus and my mindfulness on what I want to be focused on.
Love that, Lauren. And I hope y'all heard about being flexible. It's okay to change your schedule around. It's okay to reevaluate what you're doing and make some changes if you need to. Okay, Lisa, how do you recognize when things are out of balance? And what does it feel like for you when this happens? And what do you do about it?
So full transparency here, I am literally in imbalance right now. So how do I recognize it? Holy cow, the stuff that comes up in my brain, it's all that I can't do this. I can't do that. How can I do this? I should do this. I should do that. It's all the kind of the commands, right? It's that command, it's that inner parent going, and the inner critic going, what's wrong with you? You should be able to do all this. Why aren't you doing this? And I just sort of hit a wall and I say, I'm tired. I'm just tired. And so some of that self-awareness has come from a lot of personal development, a lot of work with a coach, I've worked with Amy Kemp and other coaches. And it really is sort of being able to sit back and say, okay, what's really going on here? So I have to stop myself in the crazy and say, what's really going on here? And quite often it's what I refer to as eating and sleeping boot camp, because the nutrition starts to slide ever so slightly and keeps going. And the sleep starts to slide ever so slightly. And I'm overextending myself, and I'm eating things that aren't good for me, and I'm not eating enough, and I'm not drinking enough water, and I'm not sleeping enough. And so what I do is I strip it down to basics and say, okay, what's really going to help me get back on track and get my perspective back? And it is eating and sleeping boot camp. So then I start paying closer attention to what I eat. And sometimes it's when you're really overwhelmed, it's what is one decision you can make today? One decision I can make today. Okay, today I'm going to track my water. I just had this conversation with a client. She's going through a big season of emotional trauma, and she's in therapy for it. And she's trying to cling to the program. And so what she can do, and what I come down to is what's one decision I can make, because what ends up happening is there's a ripple effect to those decisions. You make one decision and other things will follow it. If you start to pay attention to your water, you start to feel a little better, and you want to move more, and moving more makes you want to eat better, and eating better makes you sleep better. So I revert to eat. It's a tactic I use with my kids. I revert to eating and sleeping boot camp all the time. And then everything else starts to fall into place from there.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you, Lisa. I want y'all to raise your hand or put a 1 in the chat if you feel better hearing one of the leaders talk about getting to that place. Yeah, see, it's so important that we all know that our leaders also go through the same things we do. So thank you so much, Lisa, for being so transparent. Lori, to you, how do you recognize when things are out of balance, and then what do you do with that?
One of the things that I think that I'm learning to listen into is that heavy feeling where I'm busy, but I'm not productive. And so as I start to pull that apart, that overwhelm starts these stories in my head. Well, you're not a good coach. You weren't there for that person, or you forgot this thing. And those stories start. And when those reels start, I know I'm in that state of being off kilter. A couple of strategies I have, I'm learning to breathe. I discovered that for over 40 years, I didn't take deep, meaningful breaths. And so I'm learning to do that. I always schedule an appointment with my coach. When, even when things are going off the rails, I especially need her. So I lean into that and ask for truth. I pray. I ask myself these questions, and Susan Pellis taught me this. What do you want? And what do you need? And I've learned that just stopping and speaking to my heart and asking myself those questions. What do you want? What do you need? And then identifying those feelings and has been really helpful in helping me reset. I'm not where I was a year ago. I'm in a better place. I'm moving forward. And that's the one thing that, brings me back center, is to recognize that I'm moving forward.
Love that. Thank you so much. I love those questions. What do you want and what do you need? That's really powerful to remember. Thank you, Lori. Meg, same for you. How do you recognize when things are out of balance? And what do you do about that when it happens?
Yeah, I'll say, Lisa, I identify with you right now. I feel out of balance. So it's something I am contending for right now, every day, sometimes every hour. And one of the ways I know that is when I feel overwhelmed by things, or the noises in my head get really loud and I start questioning my worth and all the things. And so one of the things Amy Kemp taught me is to ask myself, can I prove that? So like, let's say a client hasn't answered the phone in 3 or 4 weeks and I'm like, oh, I'm just not a good coach. I don't have anything of value. Like the noises go crazy. And so I'm learning that noise is going to happen, but to ask myself, okay, can I prove that? Is that actually true? Or is that like, I call her Shelby. Sometimes I need to tell Shelby to shut up. So, if you can't prove it, then tell yourself something good, right? Tell yourself what is true. I know I have something to value, right? Like, I know if a client won't get on a call, it has to do with them, not me, right? Like, I know that. So just reminding myself of that. And I think the scariest thing, full transparency, that happens when I start to go down that rabbit trail is I forget to really capture the importance and the significance of the hope and the transformation that we offer. Like sometimes I feel like after 4 years, I can become kind of like numb to people's lives being changed, right? And businesses being created and like debt being paid off or whatever the case may be. So really trying, if that starts to feel like I'm not really feeling it in my soul, that's a warning flag that like, oh, I need to talk to my coach. I need to jump back in. And I was recently talking to a coach that said, well, Meg, it looks like you stopped doing the things that were helping you. So maybe we need to get back to the things that were helping you. So I think that's always, a good thing to remember as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Meg. That was great. And you've heard a couple of the ladies say something about the talk track that's in their head. And that's an unhealthy talk track. So flipping it over to something that is positive and reaffirming is so much wiser to do. Dee, you're up.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to add. I mean, I think hopefully you guys are seeing that I think so much of this is the consciousness, like when we become aware and how quickly we can recover from it is the thing. And that's what helps me. Same with me. The noises get really loud and I get very negative. Everything's a problem. Everything's a catastrophe. People aren't doing the things, like it's just everything's a big deal. But what I've learned is that it doesn't take much. I go back to start, go back to those 4 pillars. I look at those and see what might be out of order. And usually it's something there. So, circle back, go to that, re-implement. And then and then it can just be something short. Like it might just mean I need to just get out of the house for 2 hours, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that I have to go take a week-long vacation. It just might mean I need to take a break, or I just need to reschedule some stuff and go do something else, right? Or, so that's what I have to offer on that.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Dee. We're going to wrap it up with the last question that I know you guys are all waiting for. Growing as a coach requires personal development. We all know that. But we'd love to hear from you. What are some of your favorite books or your very favorite book or personal development tools that you have found especially helpful in this journey as a coach? Lauren, we'll go back to you and start with you.
Yeah, so I did do Habit Finder a couple years ago when I was an executive director or around there. And that was really helpful. And then now I'm working personally one-on-one with Paul. And I love that. But I'm always reading personal and spiritual development books. So I love all of Mark Batterson's books. I'm reading a book called Dream Big by Bob Goff, which is really good. Today I just picked up a book by John Maxwell on leading in tough times. And I read like half of it in the airplane on the way here, and that was really good. One of my favorite books for anxiety is Anxious for Nothing by Max Lucado. that's been a game changer. I've read that like 4 times this last year. I'm reading another book by Jeannie Allen right now called Made for This, which is a spiritual book, but also a personal development and leadership book. The journal that I use every morning for gratitude is Jumpstart Your Day with Gratitude. I got that on Amazon. Of course, The Art of Holding Space by Heather Plett, and then The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. So those are what I had written down.
Wow, that's a great list. Thank you. Lisa.
So I echo Lauren. I love Mark Batterson. I love The Greatest Salesman. I carry it around with me. Like I feel like I should hold it on my head. And I've done a lot of I've done group coaching with Amy. I've done group coaching with Dave and Paul Blanchard. I've done individual coaching with Amy. And I cannot stress enough the importance of that one-on-one coach. It is transformative. The group stuff is great. And it's a great segue to one-on-one coaching. And it is a big investment, but it is worth every penny because I've seen my business grow every time I engage in one-on-one coaching. And I'm putting the books in the chat that I'm about to tell you. The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell is really good. The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease is good. And it's really entertaining to listen to on audiobook. Overcoming Under-Earning by Barbara Stanny. And then I forgot the last one, but I'll put it in the chat when I think of it.
Thank you. Those are great. Lori.
Yeah, I too have done the Habit Finders group coaching. I've done 2 sessions, and I've also done their social media course, which has been so helpful to me. The books I love, The Coaching Habit is a great book, and I'll put it in the chat for you. And it Change Your Questions, Change Your Life is a great book. I love this one. Atomic Habits, man, that's a great book. If you haven't read it, by James Clear. And The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership is an amazing book too. I also start my day with a gratitude journal, and I just got it off Amazon. It's nothing special, but it gives me direction and structure. So
Great books. Okay, Meg.
So I'll say something probably not it's very true. I don't love to read. So I'm just going to throw that out there. So if you're sitting there like panicked, like I'm not reading 85 books right now, I just want you to know it is okay. But just like we tell our clients, like if you can even open the Life book and go for 5 minutes a day, you will be able to read a whole book. So you can start small. I really enjoy reading, but I don't enjoy starting to read. So that's a habit that I'm working on. There's a book by Gabby Bernstein called Super Attractor, and there's a morning mantra in there that I recorded on my iPhone in my own voice, and I listen to that every morning. And I also listen to the Habit 2 or the and The Greatest Salesman. They're all on YouTube. So I love listening to those when I'm getting ready. But I would just encourage you, if you feel overwhelmed, it is okay. Just start with 2 pages, just 2 pages a day.
Wow, that's great advice. Love that. Dee.
Yep, I'll talk quickly. I am a personal development junkie, so I couldn't even begin to tell you all the books, but my 2 most recent favorites, and actually I was super proud because I had dinner with Dr. A, and he said this was one of his favorite books. So I want everybody to know it's a simple book, easy to read, but it's called The Big Leap, LEAP. And yes, we will make a list of these and put them in the coach page, by Gay Hendricks. Very good, going from good to great. Most of us have self-limiting beliefs, very often from something in our childhood. So how to deal with that. And then I really like, as a basic book to show the power of consistency, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson is just a great one that anyone should read. I am a huge Habit Finder fan as well. If you're unsure on that, you do want to talk to your business coach, your coach, before you would invest in everything. Paul Blanchard, every Wednesday, if you go to the Habit Finder Facebook page, he does something for free every Wednesday at noon, which is great, just to help disrupt the thinking. And then there are other options as well. And then for podcast, if you're not a reader, I love Ed Milet is one of my favorites to listen to.
That was amazing. I hope you all took a lot away from that. And I'm going to ditto the Habit Finders and the other coaching. Amy Kemp is amazing. She's got a great women's group, and I've done Habit Finders twice. It's so well worth it. But like Dee said, talk to your mentor. I want you to guys remember one thing, and then we've got to run. Every time you engage in self-care, you are sending a powerful message to your brain. And the message is that you are worth it. You are of great value, and you are worth the time that it takes to do that minute or 2 of self-care, or an hour, whatever it evolves to for you. So thank you guys so much. Ladies, you did an amazing job. I learned so much from you tonight. Make sure you hop on the next calls. There's the client call, coach team field-led call, and then Dan Bell. So thanks so much, y'all.